the financial GPS, all right? Do you have something like that, or are you just doing what most people are doing, which is the best they can with what they have? Notice, slow down, nod, empathetic. So do you have a written plan, Jeremy, that does these specific things, or are you kind of doing what most are doing, just doing the best you can with what you have available to you? Right? Okay, great. So Jeremy, what I'd like to do, okay, is I'd like to set a time to come back and to do an F&A for you guys, okay? So the average planner charges $1,100 to do a written plan with specific things, right, okay? Is to do a written plan that shows you specific things, not just pay less and save more, okay? We do it for a price nobody bickers about. We do it for free. Because we do it for free, Deb, I'm gonna ask you for two things in return. The first is when I come back and I put together a plan for you, right, that does all these things, and you can look at me across your kitchen table and you can say, Ian, this was really good. This was worth doing. See how I'm nodding? See the pause I had, right? Okay, I'm gonna ask you that you would be willing and able to refer me to 5 to 10 people that are married, have kids, have a home, and have an income that may benefit from some of the same free information that you found value in. Okay, now, if when I come back, you're like, hey, I already knew all this stuff, you were really pushy, your breath smelled bad, I'm not gonna ask you for any referrals. Is that fair? Yes. Great, okay. Okay, the second thing I'm gonna ask, Deb, is when I come back and I put together a plan that does help you get out of debt faster, it does better protect your family, and it does help you save more, or at least more efficiently than you're saving now. Very important right there. Yep. What happens if they don't have any money to save? And you said, and save more, right? So it's if save more or at least more efficiently. Let's take what you have and make it perform better. I'm gonna ask that you would go forward with the recommendations that I'm making to you. Now, when I come back, it's not an improvement, okay? It's more expensive, whatever, it doesn't make any sense. I'm not gonna ask you to move forward with anything. Is that fair? Great. Okay, wonderful. So we're gonna need about 60 to 90 minutes, okay? And I'm gonna get you a list of things that we're gonna need to have ready before I leave tonight, all right? So let's go ahead and get out our calendars and let's set a time. So calendar, set time. So you've just done they don't have a plan, okay? Now what happens if they say they do have a plan? Unless it's an F&A from Primerica, it's not dealing with their debt. It probably is not dealing with their insurance. So guess what you say? Great, do you have it available? Can you grab it? Or you could say, when's the last time you looked at it? Are you following it? Have things changed since you got it done? Sure, great. Let's go ahead and re-update, right? It's like, hey, if you had a Nokia 225 with an operating system, from 2002, that probably wouldn't be like what you have now, right? Okay, well, same idea. Things have changed, right? Great. Okay. Everybody follow this? So let me say it one more time, okay? And then we're gonna pair up. So Valdine, listen. What I'd like to do is I'd like to set a time to come back next week and to do a financial needs analysis for you guys, okay? The average financial planner, Valdine, charges about $1,100 to do a written plan that makes specific recommendations, not just spend less, save more, right? We all know, but actually what to do. We charge a price, Valdine, nobody bickers about. We charge free, okay? Because we charge free, Valdine, I'm gonna ask you for two things in return. Okay, the first is when I come back and you can look at me across your kitchen table and you can say, Ian, this was really good. this was worth doing. I got a lot of great information. I'm going to ask, Valdine, that you would be willing and able to refer me to 5 to 10 people that are married, have kids, have a home, and have an income that may also find some value in the same free information that you found, okay? Now, when I come back, if you're like, Ian, I already knew all this stuff, you were really pushy, your breath smelled bad, whatever, I'm not gonna ask you for referrals. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. The second thing that I'm gonna ask you is that when I come back with a plan that does get you out of debt faster, it does better protect your family, it does help you save more or at least more efficiently than you're saving now, and it costs you the same or less per month than you're currently spending to do these things, I'm gonna ask you to move forward with the recommendations that I'm making and the improvements that I found, okay? Now, when I come back, there's not improvements, it's more expensive, it doesn't make any sense, I'm not gonna ask you to move forward with anything. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great, wonderful. So let's get our calendar and let's set up a time for next week. I'm gonna need about 60 to 90 minutes. Okay, and I'm going to give you a list of the things we're going to need. So do you have your calendar?
Yes.
Great, let's go ahead and get it set up. Okay, everybody see that?
Yep.
This is the money maker right here, y'all. This is your tie downs, right? This is where you see if they're serious or not, right? Well, what happens if they balk, by the way? Well, I'd have to see it first. Oh, right, well, you are going to see it. So once you see it, okay, if it's clear that it's clearly better than what you're doing, you would obviously want to make the improvement, right? If it was clear to you, okay, great. Right, you can't let them weasel on you. Well, I'd have to see it. Okay, great, well, let's go ahead and sub it. No, okay, you are going to see it. So when you see it, if it is clear to you that it is, right, you got to tie that down. If that's flailing in the wind, you're going to be flailing in the wind when you come back to close, right?
Question for you then. I had to tie down, set a field training appointment. Had the tie down there for the F&A, and then went for the actual close and just grabbed a copy of the life insurance policy. Didn't have it, only had group through the police department.
Okay.
So, and then I went through that, explained group, and then, went through to go close life, and he was extremely hesitant on it, would not do it because he wanted to see his needs analysis first.
Okay, so that's exactly what I described before. Okay, so then I'm gonna hammer the garbage out of the commitments on you. Right? So Rick, listen, when I come back, this is going to be recommendation 1. Okay? So I don't want to waste your time, I definitely don't want to waste my time, I don't want you to be frustrated with it. So I respect what you're saying, but that's going to be a part of it, right? Okay? Because I've been doing this for a while, I know how it's going to look, okay? So when I come back to do this, you'll move forward with that when you see it as part of the overall picture and it makes sense to you, right?
Right.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure, can we shake on that, Rick? Okay, great.
So do you,
No problem. I'm not gonna beat you with it if you're willing to make a commitment to me.
now, do you
Right?
do
That doesn't change the fact that
agreement?
he's probably 30% of the time a straight up liar and is not gonna follow through on what he says. But that's called a chargeback anyways. If you hammer that thing to close, right, it's
For sure.
It's a nightmare anyhow.
right. So, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to close, right? You
Right.
understand?
Yeah.
You gotta overcome people's objections sometimes. And you gotta be willing to go to war with it. But if you're willing to do the F&A and you're willing to give me a very solid handshake commitment on the expectation, I'll come back and do this for you.
Can I ask one more follow-up on that?
Sure.
I go back for the care back. What I had been doing was reaffirming
The
what
commitments?
we did the last time. So
Yep.
are these things still true? And they say yes, and I move forward.
Correct.
However,
I don't ask if they're still true, I just say, so remember, Rick, last
Yeah.
time I had talked about, and before you ever take an ounce of data for an F&A, you reaffirm the 2 commitments, right?
would you do the life app before you do the F&A? Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, because I'm gonna get a bigger app by doing the F&A than before. Yep, and it's gonna pay for itself in the structure of the F&A. Yeah. Yep, makes sense?
That answered my question.
Perfect. Okay. Pair up with somebody new 3 times back and forth.